All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Slowburn Show, episode number 17. It's been almost a month since we've done one of these. I'm excited to get into it. It probably won't be a super long one. It's really just going to be about my last fight and what's next coming up. I got some teammates fighting this weekend, so I want to give a quick shout out to them real quick. We got Collegio Torres. He's in a Muay Thai kickboxing fight, and same with Brandon Valentine. He has a kickboxing Muay Thai fight as
He's
well.
coming off of a knockout.
Yeah, knockout in the first round. He's trying to get two. He's in some army training or some military training out in Mississippi right now, and he's gonna be driving back the day of the fight, weigh in the day of, and then go fight later that night. So it's gonna be a crazy ride for him as soon as he gets there. But how have you been, man? How have you been since the last time we done one of these?
Hey, I've been great, man. Life's phenomenal. I actually just got back from Texas. I don't know if you knew that, but I was in Texas.
Oh yeah.
That's where I've been.
Which part of Texas?
Austin.
What all did you
Like an
do
hour
out there?
away from Austin. Man, I played some pickleball. I ate a bunch of cheeseburgers, different places. I went to a place called T. Terry's, Hoppin' Dotties, In-N-Out, Burger King. Then I went to two museums.
I
One
saw
was
you
a
went.
museum of ice cream.
Yeah, what
Fantastic.
was that like?
Honestly, it was kind of stupid. It was like we learned about. It was basically kind of like like if you went to an amusement park, it was just like a thing you walk through.
Okay.
You just kind of like looked at some cool ice cream things, and then like two people talked to you. They were like, vanilla mostly comes from Madagascar. Then we got to eat a bunch of ice creams and take pictures.
Heck yeah. How much ice cream do you think you ate?
Honestly, not much because I was like, I know we're about to go eat after this, so I didn't want to just be sugared up.
Yeah, I know
But
what you mean.
I'd say I had like there's like cups like this big. I'd had like 4 or 5 of them, and like a vanilla, Mexican vanilla, cotton candy kind. Oh, there was so much.
I'm not like the biggest, especially as a kid. I didn't grow up eating that much ice cream. If I did, it was like the orange sherbet type, or the push-ups. Those.
Yeah.
And but when I did start eating ice cream, which honestly I didn't really get into it until I was like high school. I would go and get the McFlurries from obviously McDonald's, and then the
Is
Blast,
it Oreo or you want the M&M one?
the Oreo one.
The
Oreo
best one.
McFlurry, Oreo McFlurry, and an Oreo Blast from Sonic. That's the shit right there. But getting into my fight, I guess. How I want to start. I mean, obviously, I won by unanimous decision. A great fight. But I want to talk first. I want to say some things because I didn't get I'm pretty pissed about this, and some people know this. But I tried to go up to the announcer and try and get the mic to say something because I had a lot to say. But I was gonna try and get it off quick. I know it's a show, but I was gonna try and name three things real quick. First thing first, thank you, Tristan, for finally letting me get a fight and finally being able to get into the cage. As people know, I fought last December, December 17th, the week before Christmas. And what's up, Kitty? Anyways, I fought December 17th, a week before Christmas, and then I was ready to go 2 weeks after that. Like, I was ready to fight. I was ready to, like, take a week notice fight, anything like that. And so we had lined a fight up in February to fight this guy, Matt Cecilio, that was his name. And we were going to fight at 125 MMA. And then all of a sudden, things fell through. And because they wanted to change the weight class to 115, and then they wanted to change it to Muay Thai. Yeah, kickboxing. They didn't even want to do MMA anymore. And I wouldn't have said all this on the mic, but I'm just trying to like more explain why I am thanking Tristan. And then I was supposed to fight a guy in March, and that guy pulled out. Well, he didn't pull out. He missed weight by 5 pounds. So like we just decided not to do that. And then finally, this guy, he came through. He made weight. Everything came, and we got to do the damn thing. So thank you, Tristan, for following through and letting me just be able to compete. And then second, which was kind of like the main thing I wanted to do if I did get the mic, I wanted to shout out my cousin. Around a week before I fought, my cousin had lost his father, and I know he wasn't. I mean, he was super close to his dad, more close than I was to my dad. So I just know how hard that was for him to go through, and especially because I mean, he was going to come to my fight and he was going to be in the corner, and it was going to be the first time he was in the corner, and he just wasn't able to do that because obviously he had to deal with funeral arrangements, and his dad lives in Chicago, Illinois, so he had to go all the way out there and do the funeral and stuff. But shout out to my cousin. He's been going through a lot right now, and I'm just grateful I get to do what I get to do. And I'm not going through that at this moment. So if you guys can, just keep your thoughts with him, and I hope he's doing much better than he was 2 weeks ago. And then the third thing was I wanted to announce that this is going to be, if I won this fight, I was going to go pro. And I didn't really tell too many people that. I only told you. I told you in private, and I told my mom. Those are the only two people, and mainly because I just didn't want extra opinions on whether or not that was the right move or not, whether or not this is the time to go pro or not. And in my mind, it's just, and this might sound like I'm like bitching a little early, like I haven't been doing too much, but I'm already tired of fighting for free. And like fighting for free has been kind of devastating to the bank account, if that makes sense. Like I've been paying for these fights more than anything, and it just sucks. I don't need to go into all of that, but especially coming off with an injury, I don't know how long I'm going to be off with this, and it's just I don't feel like there's any more time to waste. And I think that my opponent that I just fought, that he was super high level in my opinion when it comes to amateur. Not super, like he's not UFC caliber or anything like that, but I just thought he wrestled in college, and he was a coach at a striking center, so I think he was high enough level for if I could beat him, then I can compete with pro level athletes. Maybe I can't. Maybe I won't beat everybody at this very moment when I go into my first pro fight. Maybe I'm not going to beat Demetrius Johnson right off the bat, but I'm just ready to get into that stage of the game because I don't even think I could do another amateur fight honestly without going homeless, to be real, because that's how bad it is. I just don't want to put. It's not just me either. Like I live with somebody. I mean, they have to go along with this ride with me, and I'm sure people that support me are tired of. Not that I'd be asking everybody for money or anything like that, but I mean, it just sucks to be in this low of a position or be fighting for free essentially. So,
And I think once you do go pro, you're not gonna have people pulling out and trying to argue things, and they won't be missing weight either.
Yeah, or because I'll be hopefully getting a bonus if I take a fight like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
More benefits to it.
and I'm sure even after some people see this, they're gonna want me to still do more amateur fights. But I'm letting everybody know the amateur days are done. We're moving on to pro. Even if it's the lowest pro organization we can find, that's what we're doing. Whether we're getting paid $100 to show up and $100 to win. We're gonna get paid to do what we're doing because I mean if people could see my foot, they would. I mean, and we get to go to an MRI tomorrow to find out exactly what's wrong with it. But in my mind, I think I ripped a bunch of ligaments in my ankle and the top of my foot, and I don't know how long that I'm gonna be out because I can't even put pressure on my foot, and it's been 2 weeks. Like I can't even put any type of weight on it. So I'm expecting surgery. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping they can there's some wild type of treatment they can give me to make me be able to bear weight on my foot. But that again, like these are all hospital bills that I'm going to have to pay for. Like I've been to the ER twice over my foot. I thought I had a blood clot last week because I was having shortness of breath, so I went to the ER for a second time over it, and ended up I got an ultrasound on my foot. There was no blood clot, thank goodness. But it was just more of a scare than anything, and it's just these ER visits and these doctor visits and then potentially the surgery, like these all cost money that I'm not getting paid for, so it's just a dip in the bank account. And again, if I did another one of these amateur fights, what if the same fucking shit happens and I'm just in more of a tank? So I'm just ready. I'm ready to move on, whether people like it or not. And I just hope people respect my decision to want to do this and want to move on to the next stage. But other than that, well, that's pretty much it. Just me ranting about this whole fight and everything going on. There's been a lot going on lately. So What are your thoughts, man? How was it watching me when you saw me got dropped for the first time? What was it like watching me hit the floor after getting hit with a shot to the head?
I don't know. I thought it looked more like a slip, but when you were talking about how you got hit, how it felt, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was like okay, like because you were talking about it the whole day before. You were like, what if I do get hit? What if I just get knocked down, man? What if I get knocked down? So I was like, all right. I was like, now that it happened, he's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, if you go back and watch the fight, I am throwing a kick when I do get hit with the shot. But the first one, it definitely flash KO'd me a little bit. The second time I got knocked down, that was definitely more of a slip than he did hit me as I was going down. But that was more of him catching my kick and punching me that made me fall. But yeah, the
I
first
mean,
one,
we're gonna catch falling down, count falling down as it's knockdowns. You had about 14 on that guy. We're
yeah,
gonna
for
kick it and
yeah,
save it.
yeah, definitely in a Muay Thai fight, I would have got a bunch of points for that. But yeah, man, the getting dropped wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's just really like you're on your feet, and then you're on your back. You don't know what the fuck happened, but you realize that you're still in the fight. And honestly, when I was on my back and I came to right before he jumped on top of me, I thought the ref was about to stop it. That's how bad I didn't know what the fuck happened. I thought I got flatlined for a second, like bad. But when I noticed when he jumped on top of me and he started punching me, I was like, oh, it's not over, so let's go. But I mean, it was still crazy. I ended up getting up and then knocked down again, and then that's how the first round ended. Second round, just kept stuck to the game plan and just tore away at its kick or tore away at its legs. And that was a big game plan going into it because his first two fights in Georgia, where he was from, both were with shin guards on. So I wanted to make sure that he knew what it was like to take a real leg kick. And it's one of my best weapons as well. If you ask any of my teammates, anybody that's really even sparred me, they'll tell you he's got good leg kicks. Like if he hits your leg, he's going to keep doing it over and over and over again. But that's another thing I need to work on because I saw a couple times when I go back and watch the fight, I would telegraph it so much, and that's when I would get smacked really hard. I would just be spamming the low kicks, and then he would know a low kick's coming, and I'm on one foot and land a straight right hand, which could be a detriment in the future if I don't learn from it and don't fix it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Crazy
I
stuff.
still thought it was. I mean, I remember you talking about the fight before. You're like, all right, as long as we make it into the second round,
That
we'll
was
win this fight.
that was it too. Well, I thought it would go my way. I thought if things would start to go my way, maybe I wouldn't win, but I knew if I could force him into the second round, that would be somewhere where he's never been before. And if anybody's ever been in a fight, in it like a mixed martial arts bout, or even just any type of combat sport where there's breaks in the action, those little breaks don't help you any almost sometimes. Well, it depends on the person. Because I know in my first fight, in between the rounds is when I would have the hardest trouble of thinking about what's going on because you go from this super high pace, you're fighting an individual, and then you're expected to just sit down and rest. And then not only that, but then in 30 more seconds after you sat down, you got to stand back up and get ready to go again. And that's something that you have to get over. And if you've never been through it, you don't know what it's like until you do go through it. It's like one of those things you can't be scared of it if you don't know how it is. Uh, and in my first two fights, they both went to the third round. So I had already been through that situation 4 times, or sitting on the stool and getting up. And he had never been through it once. So I wanted to make sure it was basically just making him go through things that he hadn't been through before. That was a big part of the game plan, and it worked. Uh, so now in my mind, if I get film on anybody, if I get to study you, dude, and I get to know all these little nicks that you don't like or what you do, it's just gonna make it a really bad night for you when fight day comes. So if I was any of my next opponents, I would try to hide all your film because if I watch it, I'm gonna just keep a
That's what I'm saying. I feel like
nice little
you
detail
do.
on it.
I feel like you've done a good job of studying your opponents and figuring things out about them the last two fights. Because I don't know if the first guy you fought, if he hadn't, but I know the last two, you and me
Yeah.
especially, we watched the fights and looked at things.
Yep. And even with the Jamie fight, there were still some things that I knew I should have did and I didn't, which that's why I'm not really disappointed on that loss too much because I kind of deserved it in some ways. Like I could have did better, And if you could do better, then you could have made it more decisive for the judges. Whether or not one judge said I won and two judges said I lost, um, I could have did more with that guy. And honestly, if I would have won that fight, I would be undefeated at the moment. I'd probably have the freaking highest ego about me, walking around with a chip on my shoulder thinking I'm the shit. But now that I've lost, I realize that like you have to make more definitive statements on rounds. And I think that's another reason why I won this fight was just simple fight IQ. In the third round, I know it's 1-1 going into it. I'm like, whoever wins this third round is going to win this fight. So, I mean, I'm doing anything I can to win it, whether that's what I did where he went for a head kick and fell, and all I had to do was jump on top and be on top for a long time. That, I mean, in my head, that's what I'm thinking in the middle of the fight. You fall, I'm jumping on top of you. And I wasn't necessarily just laying on him, but honestly kind of was. Like, I'm just staying on top and making sure the judges know I'm on top. I'll land a little bit of blows just to know. That sounded a little weird, but land little bit of shots to where the ref's not going to pull me off or stand us up. Anyways, great fight. Love that he was honestly, that guy was the best guy I fought out of all three of the guys. I mean, I think he was better than Jamie, and that's no disrespect to Jamie, but it's just when it comes to the power the guy had. That was the first time. I mean, Jamie hit me with big shots and didn't put me down. That was the first time I get hit with something and I just shut off for a second. That guy had the touch of death for a 25er. I've never felt somebody be so strong on top, if that makes sense. Like, when he got on top of me in the first round, I've never felt somebody 125 pounds be as strong as that guy was. Me just trying to get inside control with my hands and get grips was that was even difficult. But it was crazy. I appreciate you and your brother did a little live stream.
Yeah, we had a couple people in here.
Yeah, that was sick. I didn't even know y'all were doing that, and then to see that, I mean, and didn't get a chance. I mean, I've told a bunch of people this, and I'm sure anybody that watches this podcast knows, but I was more than nervous in the back when I was warming up.
You're nervous the day before, I know that.
I mean,
way to the weigh-in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. When I start going off on rants and I just start talking, I mean, that's me just trying to almost like calm myself. But then I'll just get in these loops. I'll get in these loops that it just makes it worse, almost, if that makes sense. So, I was in the back. I mean, I was having bad vibes all day, to be real. Like, when I left my house, my dogs didn't want to they weren't up and jittery. They both looked like they could tell that something was off. Like, if that makes sense, before I left the house, where I had to go up to my dogs and be like, bye. Usually they're already over me all the time. And then when I get to the arena, love my mom, but I'll never have her take me to an event again. Just she just, you know how moms are.
Was she like, are you nervous?
Everything in the book was she asking me like I was at a press conference right before a fight. But I love my mom, but yeah, I'll never do that again. I'll take an Uber 3 hours if I have to. But that, I mean, having to deal with that when we get to the arena, and then we get into the warm-up room, and I'm just in my own head just thinking, like, what if I get knocked out? All these people are watching online. I don't want to embarrass myself. I wanted to go home, man. Like, I honestly, like, I even, like, Corey was sitting at a table in the backup room. I got so close that I went and sat at that table and was so close to being like, I gotta go. I gotta go. I can't be here anymore. I can't do this. But, I mean, I'm so glad that I had that much fear, because having that much fear and then going through with it just was like a big step for me. It was like, it was a bigger step for me in that fight, more than if I just would have went in nonchalant and won. I'm glad I was so scared beforehand and then overcame that fear and just like dove into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like everything was going wrong. I had this foot that's messed up right now was already messed up going into that day. But I didn't really, I mean,
we were supposed Don't go for a run.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you messed it.
We were gonna go for a long distance run, one of my last long distance runs for the camp. But obviously, the Thursday, a week and a half before on a Thursday, I had sparring. I kicked my good friend John Kelly in his jaw with the top of my foot, and it inflamed my foot up for the rest of the day. And when I got home that night, I was actually limping a little bit already. I was like very, very like teetered on it, and but the next morning I woke up, it was fine. And then a couple days later, it like the pain was going away. I didn't really feel it. And then of course, when I'm in the warm up room and I'm doing a sparring session with X, I smack X on the top of his shin, and we had shin guards on, but I smacked the top of my foot on his shin, and it inflamed up again. And that's how I end my warm up. Like I literally kick him in the leg. I say, "Fuck that hurt." And I sit down and I don't do anything. I don't do much until the fight happens. Like that, I'm just sit there and think about how I'm gonna go out there and get hit with one shot and then I'm gonna quit, or I'm gonna go out there and kick him in the leg and my foot's gonna hurt and I'm just gonna stop. But it was actually the complete opposite. When we get into the fight, in the second round is when I hurt my foot, or when it really swelled up, if that makes sense. And then
we could watching it on the screen. We could see it.
Yeah.
In red, swelling up like into the first.
And the commentators were talking about it as well. They were talking about how they could see an apple. They said an apple size, like welt on the top of my foot. And honestly, it was. I mean, right now the whole thing's like a giant apple or giant cantaloupe, to be real. But in between rounds 2 and 3, I looked down at my foot and noticed that it was swelling up like that. But I quickly changed into the mindset that I didn't care. That in my mind that I know my foot's hurt, but I know I still have to. That's the game plan for this fight, is the leg kick. So I can't be scared to throw my kick. I mean, you watch me in the third round, I throw leg kicks in the third round knowing my foot's hurt. I throw kicks to the head knowing my foot is hurt. It just, I'm so glad I got to go through the fear and then overcoming it and just having the mindset of just that nothing's going to stop me from getting the W tonight because I needed it. Everybody knows, like, if you're close to me, you know I needed it. Like, you know, I mean, I don't know what's on the other end of a loss 2 weeks ago because it didn't happen, but I'm sure I'm not in the best mind state today if I lost that fight. So,
and you get hurt, you lose, and you get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm probably not in the best state of mind, but I mean, it's still depressing whether or not I won or lost, just because I fought for free, and my foot is fucked up. And I basically fought less than free. And I remember when I was in high school and I was wrestling, and somebody asked me, they were like, "Are you gonna go to the UFC after this? Or are you gonna do MMA?" And I was like, I had never watched a UFC fight then either, and I told him, I think getting punched in the face for money is stupid.
Yeah.
And now look at me. I'm not only getting punched in the face, but I'm getting punched in the face for no money. Getting punched in the face, I'm getting paid to get punched in the face. That sounds even more stupid. So, I'm just ready to move on to this next stage, and hopefully it's the right decision. Even if it's not, I'll be able to deal with it accordingly. So,
as long as you make the right game plan.
Exactly. I mean, and if we just keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep improving. I know I still have a lot to learn. It's not like I went out there and demolished the guy and won by the unanimous decision. I got beat up in the first round and came back in 2 and 3. And I know there's a lot. The only really good punches I landed were jabs. I just need to really work on my boxing. And if I get that handled with, if they're thinking about my kicks and I can free up my hands, it'll make the striking game plan way easier. As long as I keep my jiu-jitsu at a high enough level where it doesn't dip and I'm getting submitted by some dude that just shouldn't be tapping me. But I'm excited. I don't know about you. Slowburn Swink, about to go pro. Getting paid now.
Proburn, Swink.
Yeah, Proburn. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a specific spot that I want to go to at the moment either. I'm just Right now, I'm more focusing on getting healed up than anything. I don't want to try and contact promotions while I'm hurt because if they offer me a fight, I don't want to be like I'm hurt and they'll be like, "Well, why did you even contact us?" So,
Mm.
I'm gonna get close to recovered before I even start searching or even asking my coach to go search for a pro fight. But that definitely is next. So I can't lie to myself. And I mean, there's a couple things that I told myself at the beginning of this, and I told myself as long as I'm fighting at 125 and with the amateur stuff, uh, if anybody missed weight, I wasn't gonna do it because there was no reason. Like it's an MMA fight, and I'm signing up at 125 for a reason because I'm not that big of a guy. If anybody misses weight, I'm just not gonna do it. Which I stayed true to my word on that when I was about to fight Jeer. He missed weight by 5. Came in over 130, almost 131, I think. And I wasn't gonna do it because there was no
Right.
incentive. And then with this, I told myself if I won the fight, I was gonna go pro. So I can't win the fight and lie to myself. You know what I mean? I can't be like win and then not go pro. So I feel like this podcast was more of a rant than like us just talking. Me just going off on everything that's been going on.
You see, what do you think about Amanda Nunez retiring?
I think, well, I'm happy for her first. I should say that because anytime somebody spends that long in this game and they do amazing things, I think in some way they get to choose when they want to leave. But then I was talking to my friend Zach about this as well. I don't necessarily like people leaving on top in this game. Like and that sounds kind of selfish in a way, but I almost like rather people fall flat on their face and that's how they leave the sport. But and that sounds very dark to say, even to like think about saying that. But what I'm trying to say is that when you leave on top, you you diminish your quote unquote coworkers' careers a little bit. You diminish all the other fighters' careers that are in your weight class just a little bit. Not like a big, but like with Habib. Habib retires 29-0 when he had many more years he could have kept competing. And now everybody that's a champ after that is kind of like, well, we don't know if you would have beat this guy. You know, we don't know if you would have beat Khabib. So it leaves it up in the air of like if this would have happened. I'm letting this is going to be put on record right now. I'm putting it on record right now. If I win the UFC title, I will defend it until someone takes it from me. There's no going to be like me leaving on top with the title. I don't believe in that. Because in me, I love the game of MMA so much. If I want the game of MMA to grow, I can't leave like that. I have to pass the torch on to somebody so they can like go on to the next level, or they can be the shine, if that makes sense. Everybody cares about legacy in this game, but it's like nobody's gonna give a fuck in 50 years. Nobody's gonna care. 100 years. Nobody's really gonna care about what's happening right now. So your legacy don't mean shit. Everybody's gonna be always arguing who's the best fighter of the entire world and or in like eternity. Who's the best fighter? Everybody's always gonna be arguing that. So there's really no point in trying to like achieve that goal. You should just put on badass fights, learn martial arts, and pass the torch on and grow the game of MMA because if we're being honest, MMA should be the best sport on earth. There should be no higher paid athletes than MMA fighters. They should be held to the highest regard. If you go to China or Japan, like any of those Asian countries, well, not any of them, but a lot of them, fighters and sumo wrestlers, they're worshipped to like they're like gods over there. And honestly, in reality, to me, they should be. They're putting their life on the line for people's entertainment more than like. And I mean, if you think about football and stuff, football, soccer, basketball, they're not taking the same risk as us. Yes, they're doing a sport. Yes, serious injuries happen in those sports. People have died in those sports. I don't know about basketball and soccer, but I think people have died in football for sure. But we're just risking so much that I feel like we should be held to this high standard. And if I want the game to get to there, I can't just hold on to it and like think I'm the shit instead of the game of MMA is way better than me. MMA doesn't need me, if that makes sense. I need MMA. So I want MMA to be the best thing it can be. And I learned that at a very when I was 16 or 17, I had an incident in high school that I won't go into. I don't want to talk about it, but I will talk about what my coach said to me after I got in trouble. So I almost got kicked off the wrestling team, and when I had to talk to my coach, one of the things that resonated with me and it resonated deeply. I went home and I cried about it. That's how bad it was. He told me, wrestling does not need you. You need wrestling. And that hurt me because, I felt like I was the shit when it came to wrestling. At my school, at least. Not that I was like this well known, but I just thought, I don't know. It hit different when he said that. And it's the same thing with MMA. Like, MMA doesn't need me, but I need it. So I want it to be, if I need it, I want it to be the best sport it can be. I don't believe in fighters retiring on top. I think they should always pass the torch on. Maybe they don't fall flat on their face, get knocked out cold, but if you can help it, that not happen that way, I think you should. I think all fighters should end on a loss. I think you should end on an L. I think if you get to the top, you get the belt. You shouldn't just defend it a couple times and then retire with it. Then we'll just never know. But that's selfish for me to say and kind of almost stupid for me to say too, because I haven't been in their position, and maybe when I get to the title or maybe when I get to that position, I feel a lot different than I do right now about the situation. But in my mind right now, I feel like you shouldn't be able to leave on top. You should end on an L. Pass the torch. What do you think?
For her situation, it's like she's already just ran through everybody. Like, you can't really pass the torch on to some, like, if you're not gonna get beat, like, there's no need to keep going.
I know.
Like, I feel like she's in such a good position. Like, she's beaten everybody. She's already proved herself. She can leave.
I know, but that Pena trilogy's out there. I know Nunes would beat her. I know she would probably win the trilogy, but it's just like, I want to see it. Like, I want to know. I don't want to think about what would have happened. I want to know.
And then you're talking about passing the torch. I feel like, sure, it could be, yeah, he could have fought some more, but I feel like he passed it to Islam. Like, he passes the torch to Islam.
But Charles won it. I'm sure Islam's going to do the same damn thing. If Islam wins it 4 times, he's going to retire. And then it's always going to be this thing where we think they're the shit, but we just don't. The torch, it should be passed. And I don't want to I keep repeating that saying, but I just feel like you diminish other people's careers by not. Like,
there's always going to be what ifs.
Exactly.
What if you didn't take the milk out? What if that girl kept talking to you? What if Khabib and Tony Ferguson fought? Like, all that. There's always going to be what ifs, but, like, I feel like if you're in a good position, it's always okay to leave. Like, Conor McGregor could have left a long time ago.
Right.
He won those 2 titles. Could have left.
But he's a fucking badass, and that's why he's still in the fucking game. And that's why.
You see that him and Michael Chandler might not fight?
Yeah, I've seen that too. But they're gonna fight. The UFC ain't gonna let that happen. I'm letting you know right now. It's not gonna. They wouldn't do all this promoting with the Ultimate Fighter and shit if they weren't gonna fight. Those 2 dudes will fight. All this is fake news to me.
Yeah, more promoting.
Yeah, I think it's just more promoting by saying it's not gonna happen. But I see what you're saying. I hate it. I don't know why I hate it. I've explained why I hate it, but it doesn't really make the most sense, but I don't like it. I don't know why.
There was a saying to us in high school, it's like, not many people get to win their last game. Might as well go out on top.
There's just so many fighters that are so good, and they end up on an L. But I still look at them as, like, these fucking badasses compared to, like, Khabib was really good. I just don't really see them as like these badass motherfuckers. I don't know why. Like when I look at Nate Diaz has over 10 losses on his record, but I think he's one of the baddest motherfuckers on earth. Justin Gaethje, he's been knocked out cold. I still think he's more. I mean, and Khabib's beat him, but I still think Justin's more of a bad motherfucker than Khabib. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm trying. I had what? Oh yeah. I feel like when you have this 29-0, you're trying to build this legacy that no one cares about. Like no one. If I went down the street or even went to an MMA gym, if I went to an MMA gym and I asked you what's Charles Oliveira's record, he just fought last weekend. I bet you only like one person in the whole gym knows exactly, and maybe not even that. I don't think anybody in the gym would know his record correctly or say it's correct. Like I don't even know what it is for real. And he fought last week. I don't know what Benil's record is. The whole like him having this 29-0 record. It's just like I don't care. I really don't care. I want to see how your full career goes. I think Anderson Silva's more. When it comes to like goats of MMA, I think Anderson Silva's higher up on the list than Khabib, and he lost his last like 6 fights.
I feel like the whole protecting your record thing's kind of lost on some people, especially in boxing.
Yeah, I mean. And a lot of people will tell you that Habib's first, like, 10 fights were all set up by his father. Like, his father picked the opponents for whatever promotion they were fighting for. And, I mean, in my opinion, Charles is a better lightweight ever than Habib. And he has, like, 8 losses on his record. He's been, like, finished 8 times. But in my opinion, I mean, he subbed Gaethje and Dariush faster than he did. And Charles has more subs and more knockouts and more wins and more fights than Habib. And you're going to tell me that this dude, Habib, 29-0, 4 title defenses, won the title off of Al La Quinta, who got beat the fuck up by Bobby Green. You know what I'm saying? It's just... Maybe I hate Russians. Maybe that's what we're really deep. Maybe I have I don't want to say a racism towards them, but it's like.
Maybe, I wouldn't say that.
I think I just have a strong dislike for these people and
wrestling fighters.
Yeah, not even just wrestling fighters, because I like Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler wrestles sometimes.
You like Khamzat?
Yeah, but he's.
Well, he's Chechen. Sweden. He lives in Sweden.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. He'll knock people the fuck out. Cold.
Well, I mean, he knocked down Connor.
Yeah, he knocked him down. Good for him.
You're starting to lag a little bit.
Yeah. We should probably end it on there before I just keep rambling about how much I hate Russians. But I appreciate everybody that's been joining these pods and listening to them. And I'm glad we're back. This was more for us to just get back on track. And Gio told me that he's going to try and get on the pod Sunday. So if you want to do a pod Sunday, me, you, and Brandon and Gio will all talk about their fights that are coming up on Saturday.
Get it.
And
where his fights at?
Hartsville. They're fighting in Trey Park. They're fighting outside.
Outside?
Yeah, they're fighting outside.
Are you going to it?
No, I actually got to go to Virginia. But I got to go for a cousin's graduation. But I wish I could go.
About some pizza.
Yeah, you go get that. But good luck to those guys. Thank you, everybody. Peace.